What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. As always, I'm here. This is John Kelly, by the way. I never say my own name, Jeremiah. I always just announce you. And I've had so many comments from people going, well, who the heck's the guy talking at the beginning? So, John Kelly here with my good friend, as always, Jeremiah Stringer. And Jeremiah, you're in a new location.
I am. We're all set up here, man. And by set up, I mean I stuck a camera in front of me and tuned in tonight.
Yeah, but where are you, Jeremiah? Explain where you are right now, because this is a big deal.
I have moved to a new location. We sold our house, bought a different house. I would say new, but it's new to me. And I have my own little dedicated studio. Now, one of my dogs is in here with me right now, Petey. But ordinarily, I shared my YouTube studio with the dog kennels. But now, no more. You'll see when you come to the house, John.
I can't wait, man. I haven't been there yet, and I'm really excited to come out and check it out. I do know that he's on the left-hand side of the screen. A couple of beardos. I don't know what's going on right now. I'm trying to read the comments as we're sitting here talking. I'm like not sure what exactly is happening right now.
I think Jeff is saying that normally I'm on the other side.
There we go, Jeff.
Oh, Jeff can sleep easy tonight.
Now Jeff will be much happier with everything right now, so that's good. This is going to be a good show tonight, man.
Oh,
this is going to be a good one.
We're bringing the heat. Got a great guest.
Basically, what we decided to do was bring some professionalism to the Backpacking Podcast. We decided to bring in somebody who's actually good at podcasting to show us what to do.
Yeah, great guest and great sponsor tonight.
Yes, fantastic sponsor. Our sponsor tonight is our good friends over at Outdoor Beards. And as always, Jeremiah, I have been using Outdoor Beards now for well over a year, and they have not failed me. Like, I think the best part about Outdoor Beards isn't just the beard stuff, but I'm like you. I've kind of become a big fan of the soap, the bars of soap they have.
Yeah, I have like every scent that they have, and I unboxed them all and I laid them all out. And I was like, Bridget, who's my wife, I was like, you get to pick out the next scent. What do you want this body to smell like?
Wow.
And yep, she loved she I can't remember what the name of it is now. I think might be In the Woods. I don't know. It smells like pines, man. It smells just like the wood. She absolutely loved it.
So you smell like one of those trees you hang off of your mirror in your car? Is that what you smell like?
Is that what it is? Not quite, but I did. I was putting on some beard balm. I like the beard balm after the shower.
I do too. I used the oil for a while, but I got to where I think I like the beard balm better.
I like them both, but I like the balm after the shower to kind of style it. And she walked in there and she's like, "Are you making coffee in here?" And I was like,
"Oh, you used the chocolate coffee one? Is that what you used?"
Yeah, the coffee. Yeah, it smells great, man.
My wife likes that one a whole lot. So, but we are big fans of Outdoor Beards, and they have been a big fan of the show, and they were our first ever sponsor.
Yeah, Outdoor Beards
still hanging with us.
Yeah, check out outdoorbeards.com and see all their different products. You know, they got the soaps, they got the combs, the brushes, they got the balms, the oils, the mustache wax, they got chapstick. I mean, they have a whole assortment of things. And, you know, the holidays are coming up, some great stocking stuffers too. So make sure you check them out.
Yep. So thank you to Outdoor Beards for being a part of the show. And now it is time, Jeremiah, to bring in our guest for tonight. I made a horrible Bugs Bunny reference previous to this thing starting. I'm not going to do it now, but if you'd like to, you can, Jeremiah. But let's welcome to the show, Doc from the John Freakin Muir Podcast. What's going on, Doc?
What's up, Doc? How's it going, guys?
There it was. Right
I beat you to it.
Nice, dude.
I am happy to be here. I'm excited to be here tonight talking to you guys, and really looking forward to tonight's conversation. Thank you so much for your kind words about the podcast.
Yeah, for sure, man. I actually have appeared on Doc's podcast, the John Freakin Muir. Am I saying that right?
You are. There's no G in the freaking, so it's John Freakin Muir Pod.
Yeah, I was on there, had a great conversation. Doc does an awesome job. He actually structures his podcast, and you know, we had awesome conversation on there. On here, we're a little bit scattered, but I know we're going to get into some great stories. And yes, there will be poop talk tonight.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get it out of the way at the beginning. It's coming. Like our guys who are out there that just live and die by the poop, you will be covered tonight. Well, that sounds awful.
Straight down the poop chute.
Let's just say we'll be talking about it. It's coming. I do want to say something though. Jeff Peters, he was the one that made the comment that we were on the wrong sides of the screen, and then when we changed him, he goes, "Whoa, freaky."
For those people just listening, we do have a video version of this podcast on YouTube. We typically live stream Monday nights at 8. We pushed a little bit because Doc, you're actually out west, right?
That's correct. I just choked down some dinner and jumped on the show here. So thank you for making that accommodation for me.
Well, we were so excited to have you on. We were more than willing to push it back a half hour. That was like a no-brainer. We were like, if it gets Doc on the show, we're going to do it. So,
yeah,
fantastic.
So go ahead, Doc.
I was just going to say that the Pizza Ninja, he's going off in the comments, and just want to let you guys know that I agree. Your beard game is strong tonight. Jeremiah, I think it's a good, inch or two longer than last time we talked. I mean, it's looking pretty fierce there.
Well, thanks. We actually have some haters in the past when we talk about our beards, but
well, I was going to say something real quick about Jeff Peters. Real quick, Jeff Peters, he is solely responsible for a video I put out last week.
Oh, what did Jeff say?
Well, I did a video on beginner mistakes, and Jeff commented in my comments below it. He put, "So what about people who are veteran backpackers? What about their mistakes?" And I was like, "That's a great idea." And so that's the video I made this week, and it was because of Jeff.
Oh,
Jeff is basically a genius. That's basically what it comes down to.
And that is the premise behind my podcast: is that bad decisions lead to great stories.
Yes.
So, and we're all guilty of making bad decisions, whether we're novice or experts.
Well, let me ask you this, since you just brought that up. What is the worst decision you ever made on trail?
Oh, wow.
Let's just go for it. Let's just go for it
on
right
the
now.
spot.
On the spot. Let's do it.
Well, I think from some of the feedback I've gotten from some of my listeners about some stories that we've told on the podcast, I think maybe my worst decision was we were on the John Muir Trail in the Sierras in California, and we were making our approach to Forester Pass, which is about 13,200 feet. And when we started the day, it was nice and sunny. It is a long approach to get up to the top of Forester Pass. It's a good 5-7 mile build up, and it takes a long time because you're at altitude, you're underweight with your packs, and it can be quite a trek up there. And it was sunny when it started out, and about we're maybe a mile and a half from the top, and the weather rolls in. It gets cold, fog rolls in over the pass. It is just exactly what you would think. It's just mesmerizing when that fog just kind of curls over the top. And then the fog is accompanied by wind and rain and hail. And then, we're about a half mile from the top, and the thunder and the lightning starts. And there we are with 2 metal poles in our hands heading to 13,200 feet. We are too far up to say, you know what, let's just let's turn around and go back. And so we did a sprint as fast as you could go at that altitude, underweight, up and over the top and down the other side. But I think we were hypothermic by the time we got down to the bottom, and there was electricity in the air. I'll put it that way.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're still around to tell the story.
Yes. I had a guest on the podcast just recently who talked about his experience this summer in the Sierras, and he was about maybe 50 yards away from a tree that was struck by lightning, and he couldn't hear, he couldn't see, and his hands were numb and tingly for about 25 minutes. So that is way close.
Yeah, that's scary.
You say it blinded and deafened him for a period of time?
Well, he said, you get that after image in your retina when you look at the sun.
Yeah.
So with the lightning, it messed with all his rods and cones. He couldn't see anything for a little bit, and he said it was the loudest sound that he had ever heard. It started he said it sounded like it started inside of his head, and just had that reverberation in his ears for a while after as well.
That is so scary. That is one of my big fears, man, when it comes to like the storms. Some people may have heard about this before, but I was out in Holy Cross Wilderness in Colorado, and it seems like every day about 1 o'clock, a storm rolls in at those high altitudes. I don't know what it is. It's like they make their own weather. And I was scared to death, dude. We set up a tarp, and all of us huddled under there and tried to get out of it. It was hailing, and we were just trying to get out of there. And I was like, please, please, a cloud don't roll in and start lightning, because you're up there. You're basically in it.
Right. And Jeremiah, I mean, if you want to tune in, I think it's the November 6th episode with Grant Breidenbach, who goes by Detour.
Uh-huh.
He's actually the son of a meteorologist. And so he went into excruciating detail as to how these weather patterns form and what he found himself in.
Wow. I think it's,
Wow.
John, I don't think I ever told you, but before I was I'm just making this up, high school football star. Now, I did play high school football. I was no star, but before I got into
He
that,
was all state in his own mind, though.
I played a little high school football. Before that, though, I was in something called Science Olympiad, and it's basically like academic team. If y'all have heard of that,
Yeah.
You were a mathlete.
yes, it was like math and science. So you did different competitions and actually went to state in that. You had to get first place in region and go to state. Your boy's representing for his alma mater.
Well, way to go, dude.
For Science Olympiad. So anyway, one of the events that I studied for and competed in was meteorology. I've always thought it was fascinating, that and astronomy, but the meteorology and understanding the weather patterns and all that, I think now it's all just fell out of the side of my head because that was in maybe 6th or 7th grade, but it's very fascinating.
Well, all I know is that I was out this past weekend with Mark Goes Hiking. He came down to the Red River Gorge. I met up with him, and I did an overnight with him and some friends of his. And we were reminiscing on a trip that you had with him last year. It was him and Brad Felton from Crow Flies Hiking, or As the Crow Flies Hiking. And you guys actually almost got struck by lightning up near Oxshire Ridge in the Red River Gorge.
Oh, that was scary. I took them. I thought I knew where I was going because I'd been there before. But no, we were in the heat of the moment. Brad actually had an umbrella. So he's holding his umbrella, and there's a storm right on top of us. And we made a turn. And when we started going uphill, I knew we were going the wrong way. And it was like lightning, thunder at the exact same time. Super scary. But that night, Mark and I sat out, watched the stars. And I think another thing that's so fascinating, sometimes in the valley, it's just all completely covered in fog. So especially at night, it looks just like a lake. And I actually showed Bridget a picture that I took last time I was out at Red River Gorge. And I'd stay at this one spot overlooking a valley. And she was like, where were you? What is the lake doing there? And I was like, that was the fog. It's so cool sitting there at night, like watching it rise up, like literally through where you are.
And in the mornings too. I mean, you'll see it in the mornings when you first wake up because it all settles during the night. And then as that heat comes, it just kind of rises up out of the valley with the sun. And it looks like it's on fire sometimes. It just looks like smoke all through the valley. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So Doc,
go ahead. Yes.
Okay, question. I'm looking at this list of trails that you have done, and it's fairly insane. I mean, you've definitely been around. What of all the trails that you have done, is there one spot that if you were told you had one time for the rest of your life, you could go back to one spot one more time, which one would it be?
So I think the southern half of the JMT, the John Muir Trail, is the best half. You spend about 80% of your time over 10,000 feet. I love the being above the tree line and just the granite landscapes and the high alpine lakes. There is a section right after, if you're going southbound, you come to something called the Golden Staircase. If anybody's watched Wild out there, I think Reese Witherspoon's character talks about the Golden Staircase. And you're going up the Golden Staircase. It's about 1,500 feet of vertical climb. It takes you maybe 2 hours to get up. It's serious uphill. But at the
Wow.
top of that is a couple of lakes called the Palisades Lakes, and they are just absolutely gorgeous. And I have a theory that the most beautiful places come after the hardest of sections. I think you're just beat and you're spent, and it is just, you're just so happy to be at the the destination after all the hard work.
Yeah.
And so I think the Palisade Lakes would be a great destination. And there's something right before. There's another lake right before the John Muir Pass, called Wanda Lake. And I don't know if you guys know, but all the lakes and features named in and about the Sierras and around the John Muir Trail all have some significance to their names. And Wanda Lake and Helen Lake are on either side of Muir Pass, and they are the daughters. They're named after the daughters of John Muir.
Oh,
Helen
wow.
and
That's
Wanda.
cool.
Yeah.
Do people
That's
go
really cool.
fish? People go fish up there?
People do. Yeah. I've run into a number of thru hikers that carry their poles in, and they do some fishing out there. Yeah.
It never ceases to amaze me. These lakes that have these fish, I have no idea how in the world those fish end up there.
Yeah. I think they get stocked. I think the national park stocks them occasionally.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
They
Mhm.
actually just did that in the Red River Gorge just this past week. They just stocked a lot of the creek and the Red River and everything.
Yeah,
So-
but I don't know, how do they stock those at that elevation? They do everything by copter?
I know that they fly the rangers in, the backcountry rangers into the ranger stations by helicopter. So that'd be my guess.
Dude, it's a completely different set of challenges out west than it is like where we live in Kentucky. And I know we frequent Red River Gorge a lot, and it's beautiful, but it is so different heading out west. The real mountains, dude.
Mm-hmm.
They are high, and to get out into the middle of nowhere, you've got to put in the work to get out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and
that's the point of the payoff. That's what those views are. They're the payoff. Like, you're earning that. You know what I mean? Like, there's just something different about when you've just hiked up, like you said, a 1,500-foot climb in 2 hours. That's like a mile, and you're worn out when you get to the top, and then there's the view, and you just sit, and you get the chance to rest, but you're also enjoying that view at the same time. I mean, there's just nothing that beats that. It's
right.
one of the reasons I backpack is I want to see the view. My very first pseudo backpacking trip was Kilimanjaro, so it's like. It's hard to compare anything to that in the U.S. You know what I mean? But there are places in the U.S. that just have a different view altogether. You're not going to have those kinds of lakes and stuff down in Africa. Even here in Kentucky, I had a friend, Doug Beaumont, who came out here. He lives in California, hikes out there all the time. He came out here, and he couldn't believe what he saw. He thought Kentucky was just going to be these like nicely manicured trails where it was basically super easy hiking and the views are going to be okay. And then he saw some of the stuff and he was blown away, which was really cool. It was really cool.
You think that people are kind of like, they get in their own head of what their expectations are when they're going to go somewhere. And, sometimes I live here, so sometimes you can be underwhelmed, but if you came here, then it may be something different than what you're used to. And then you're like, wow, this is great.
I totally think that so much in life is all about expectations and what you go into it thinking and expecting, and then being confronted with the reality of it. And on my podcast, I've talked to a number of long trailers, people who have done, all three of the long trails, Triple Crowners. And I always want to ask them, when you show up to your first long trail, whether it be the CDT, the AT, or the PCT, what did you expect? And then how did that differ from the actual reality? And I love to hear their responses.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's my dream to do the John Muir Trail. That's one of the trails I really want to do. And I've watched the movie Mile and a Half about 8,327 times at this point. Actually watched it this past week in my hammock, trying to fall asleep during a storm. And and I was just like, every time I watch that movie, it just makes me more excited about going. And I'm lucky because I haven't done one of the major long trails, but I did do the Sheltowee Trace, so I understand the blisters and the bad days and hiking and storms and all that stuff. But man, when I see those mountains out there, oh my gosh, man, like the Sierras, I'm just ready. It's like if I could pack up tomorrow and go, I'd do it. I just would come back to a very angry wife.
That is a great goal to have. Sierras are just incredible. In fact, on the PCT, the PCT hikers, the first thing what they do every day for the first 700 miles is talk about the Sierras. They build it up to, if it's a high snow year or a low snow year, they're wondering what they're going to encounter and what the challenges are going to be. And so it is an incredible place.
Yeah, I've watched a number of people who have had to like wait in a town or a city until the snowpack comes down a little bit because it was a little too deep. And basically it's more than just post holing. It's your whole leg going down.
That's right.
And having to really rethink their timetable on doing the PCT because of that.
Yeah. They generally start in March down at the Mexican border. And the goal is to not get to the Sierras prior to June 15th. June 15th is kind of their marker to, hopefully most of the snow or some of the snow is melted away and it's a little better condition, depending on the year.
So since you've done backpacking through that kind of terrain, have you had experience with like using crampons, snowshoes, ice axe, that kind of stuff?
No, I haven't. There was in 2017, I went with my son, and it was a particularly high snow year. We did the southern half of the JMT. That's that part of the trail that is 80% over 10,000 feet. And, we read all the warnings about the high water crossings and the amount of snow still out there. And we were kind of, we made a decision. And I don't know if it was the best decision, but we made a decision. We were weighing our packs and deciding what to bring and what to leave behind. And we gotten micro spikes just in case. And we'd also gotten, 1 pound chairs, and they're about equal in weight, the micro spikes and the chairs. And we were trying to cut weight, and we decided, yeah, we could probably do without the micro spikes. And so we brought the chairs instead to have that back support when we sat down.
You guys are my kind of hikers, man. You guys are my kind of hikers. I would probably do the exact same thing. I'd be like, I'd rather just bring like shoes that can handle that and not have to bring the micro spikes. That way I can bring a chair.
Yeah. And going up I talked about Muir Pass earlier. The worst part of the trip was Muir Pass, because the mile leading up to Muir Pass and the mile leading down from Muir Pass was just total slogging through the snow. And it was just slow and painful and torturous. A lot of post holing.
What time of the year were you guys hiking through there?
But nothing dangerous though. We didn't run into any kind of dangerous conditions in the snow. We did this, I think it was the end of July. And it was such a heavy snow year. I mean, it was still everywhere.
So what is the ideal time to hike it? I mean, it sounds like right at June. I mean, is good, but it's still probably a little rough. I'm guessing once September, October hits, it starts getting crazy again. Is it like late July, early August? Is it the middle of July? What's the best time to get out there?
Yeah, I think middle of July to beginning of September middle of July through end of August is good. We did a trip in September, and we spent the night at Thousand Island Lake in about 20 degrees. And I had 6 layers of clothing on and woke up about 4 a.m. Just, everything was shivering and teeth were chattering. And I woke my son up. I said, hey, we got to go. I got to get moving. I'm not going to sit here for the next 2 hours trying not to freeze to death. Let's get a move on. So we packed up and headed out.
So where are you from officially in California?
So have you ever heard of the Valley?
Yeah.
The Valley has been featured in a number of movies and pop culture. I grew up in the Valley, San Fernando Valley, which is just north of Los Angeles. And we currently live in Santa Clarita, which is one valley north of the Valley.
Isn't that the movie that Netflix did a TV show, The Santa Clarita Diet, which was about some girl who's a zombie and eats people?
That's correct. Yes.
So have you met any zombies there in Santa Clarita then?
I have my suspicions. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, interesting. So the reason, there's a reason I asked that question. In all seriousness, it wasn't about zombies, but the reason I ask is, so it's pretty warm there year round.
It is, yes.
So I would see where 20 degrees would be kind of frustrating for you. Like I was thinking to myself, well, I've hiked in 20 degrees before. That's not a big deal. But then I was like, wait a second, I got to find out where he's from.
Yeah, I'm warm blooded. I don't like being cold.
Do they sell hot hands where you live?
I don't think so.
I don't know why they would.
There's not a big market for hot hands in
Yeah.
Southern California.
In Kentucky, there's a huge deer hunting population, giant, and hot hands, they're like the go-to, because if you're sitting in your deer stand, right, and like, deer season, it's cold, you're sitting there and you got your insulated boots on, and the first thing to get cold is your toes, and you're just sitting there not moving, like you can't move around much because you're hunting. Those things, pop those in your shoes, you're good to go. I take those with me sometimes, even in the summertime. Like I'm like, oh, I'm taking a 40-degree under, but it may be a little breezy. I better pop a couple of hot hands in my backpack, because
Yeah, but didn't hot hands destroy, like, put a hole in one of your quilts?
Hey man, I'll live and die by them. I would take sponsorship today by hot hands. Those things, yes, they did. John is right. I bought a 0-degree under quilt, and I bought it like the highest fill power I could. So it cost me quite a bit. And then a hot hand, like it's a chemical reaction in there, and you basically tear them open and you shake them. Somebody was telling me, who was it? I think it was Goat. John, have you met Goat?
Yeah, I know him. I've not met him, huh?
Well, Doc, I don't know if you've heard of his channel. I think it's World According to Goat, if I remember right.
I'm writing that down.
He is hilarious. One of the funniest people I know. I am still convinced that his actual job is a stand-up comedian. Everything he says is funny. Anyway, he was telling me the first time he met me, he thought that there was something, he doesn't know what, but there was something wrong with me. Maybe I had a twitch or something. You know how like some people different, like let's say you had Tourette. Some people have different like twitches, maybe like eye or some kind of muscle spasm or something. He thought that maybe there's something wrong with me, because I walked up and I was like, I'd be shaking, and then I'd shake both hands. And he was like, what's wrong with this guy? And it turns out that I just popped hot hands, and they were like starting to cool down. So if you shake them back up, they'll start heating.
You just look like an angry redhead the whole time is all it was.
Yeah, he's
all of Jeremiah's friends are saying, oh yeah, that's just Jeremiah. That's what he does.
He's got a twitch. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it.
Well,
hey, we got a few comments. I want to make sure we get some of our comments in here from our podcast listeners. Paparazzi said, you guys especially need to be careful of lightning. We've all seen the way you conduct yourselves. Thanks for the faith in us, paparazzi. We got a hike to change. Life's best stories always start with, I thought I knew where I was going, but, and then Tree Riot, where's it at? 20 degrees is almost shorts weather.
Yeah, I saw that. Tree Riot giving me a hard time. I have to read the audience. I need to know who I'm talking to, because I should not have brought up the 20 degrees. You guys are cold weather aficionados back there.
Well, Jeremiah doesn't like cold weather. Jeremiah's not cool with cold weather. He's not crazy about it.
No, I don't like it because it's such an inconvenience. Like your water can freeze, your water filter can freeze, your batteries die, especially like if you're filming and stuff. Like I think John, he's got the new iPhone, so he's doing a lot of that on that immaculate camera, but I'm still taking like my Canon. And if you don't have those batteries, like in your foot box of your quilt or your sleeping bag or something, those die. Plus it's cold. It's just it's not as comfortable.
That's the truth. Well, and then also just don't drop those accidentally in your underquilt stringer.
Yeah.
That was in there. Yep.
What I was saying was that when they're really compact, that chemical reaction, it produces a lot of heat.
It's right here. 178-degree hot hands.
Yes, they melted that underquilt. That high fill power, 0 degree. That's what happened, man. Mistakes were made. I can make a lot of videos on those.
Here's a good question for all three of us here. Let's ask this question. Hot hands or hot pockets for the trail? Your thoughts?
Hot hands or hot pockets is in like the food?
Yeah. Which one would you choose?
Hot pockets.
I'm going hot pockets all the way.
Hot hands, no brainer.
Oh man. If there was a way for me to have a an ultralight microwave out on the trail and take some Hot Pockets out with me, I'm down with that all day long, man.
You heat those
All
up,
about
they can
that.
keep you warm, and then you can eat them.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's
double.
eat it right before you go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Right before you go to bed. Jeff Peters does have a question, though, for us. And he says, how does Doc dig a cat hole up in the high granite trails?
Oh, poop.
Very carefully. Very carefully. You have to have a metal. You can't have a plastic deuce of spades. You gotta have a metal deuce of spades to get you through there. Yeah, you could run into some tough spots up there. You got to be really selective and find a good place. It might take a little bit.
Now, do some of the places up there you have to take a wag bag? Am I right?
Yeah, when you get into the Mount Whitney area, Mount Whitney at 14,505. When you get into I think it's within 5 or 7 miles of it, there is a cooler outside the Crabtree Ranger Station. In that cooler are wag bags for the hikers to take. And so there is no pooping in the ground up and around Mount Whitney. You got to poop into a bag and carry it out with you.
Yeah, I still have yet to do the wag bag. I still have yet to do it.
Same here. We typically, we see the Crabtree Ranger Station sign coming up, and we pick that spot to do our last poop, and then we make it through.
He plays the game, Jeremiah.
That's right.
Don't poop in the woods game. That's brilliant. We have this game that we play where it's like, can you hold it until the end of the trip or until you get to a privy? That's the secret. Can you hold it for that long? And sometimes that game ends poorly, but
yeah, it sometimes ends poorly.
So here's the real question for you, Doc. Here's the real question. We have to know this.
Okay.
If someone was to offer you a poop hammock, in other words, a hammock with a hole in the bottom of it that you could sit and enjoy your poop, would you use it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you're out there in wilderness and you're doing your business, I mean, that's the best views any bathroom has. And if you can do it from a hammock, heck, why not? You have to get pretty.
I knew we were going to like Doc, man. I knew we were going to like Doc.
You would have to get pretty skilled digging the hole in just the right spot, just below the hammock. I mean, that might be a couple of episodes of trial and error, but I could see that working.
You can hang
and
that.
If you had the wag bag, you could just connect. If they should make a wag bag connector to the bottom of the poop hammock, Jeremiah. You need to talk to your boy over at the Porta Privy and talk about that so he can make these for the people out west.
I texted Thomas last week and I was like, hey man, we've been talking about the Porta Privy quite a lot on the podcast here lately. And he's like, I got a few orders, man. The portaprivy.com. He literally makes this hammock that is a hammock seat with the hole in it. I don't know about the whole wag bag situation though. If you're somewhere that you need a wag bag, I'd say the probability of finding 2 trees that you can hang the hammock from is low, isn't it?
You got trekking poles. You got trekking poles and tent stakes, dude. What else do you need? Come on.
Oh, I want to see that. I want to see a hammock strung between 2 trekking poles and pulled tight with some guy lines. That'd be awesome.
That's it right there, man.
I gotta say, you just better hope that thing doesn't fail. That's no win.
Especially while you're doing your business, right? I mean, that fails at the wrong time.
If you've got the wag bag connector, you got a better chance of less failure because you don't have to worry about falling in it because you can actually push it away as you fall. So I mean, there is some give and take there. I think
I can see all kinds of things going wrong with that.
Okay, yeah, actually, there's something that. So Doc, he has several different poop stories, I'm sure, but there's one in particular that I saw here on something that you sent me, and it says, and I quote, "How Skids earned his trail name." Now I'm just using my imagination, but I would love to hear the full story since we're talking about poop.
Well, let's just talk about the names of the people that are on this trip because you had Buddy, Chopper, Jukebox, Docs, Big E, and Skids. This just sounds like a crew, man. It sounds like one heck of a crew.
It was quite a crew. And there's actually 2 stories in there, if I may, because I know Tree Ride has asked about how we handle the high altitude on those hikes. And in answer to that, Chopper earned his trail name on the Mineral King Loop in Sequoia National Park when it's only about 35 miles, but there is some hellacious up and down. And there are two 11,000 foot passes on that at 35 miles. And, on the second day, we went over that first pass, Black Rock Pass, and about 11,000 feet. And he, Dan, his name was Dan prior to this. Now it's Chopper. He was just really hurting. He had a headache. He was walking 100 yards and then bending over and throwing up. And again, we're too far up. I mean, we're out in the middle of nowhere. We got to get up over this pass and get him down lower. And so we went over Black Rock Pass, and the problem is that between the two passes, between Black Rock Pass and between Sawtooth Pass, we never got down lower than 9,000 feet. And so he's still stuck at altitude. And luckily there was a ranger station down there, and the ranger evaluated him and decided that he had to be choppered out. And so a chopper came in and landed next to the lake, and I was hoping they were gonna tie him to the helicopter skids. That would have been a great story, but no, they took him inside the helicopter and flew off with him. But altitude sickness, you could be out at altitude 100 times and not have a single problem, and the 101st time it hits you. Yep. And so I always worry about that, and I always try and spend the night before a hike at altitude, up a little higher than normal to try and get ready for that. But you just never know.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of the John Muir Trail hikers, they start at Happy Isles, the northern terminus, and hike south down to Mount Whitney, because that Happy Isle starts at 4,000 feet and you kind of build your way up. That seems to be the best way to acclimate yourself.
Yeah. Even when we did Kilimanjaro, we did it over 7 days. We did 5.5 days up. And we would literally go up and then come down just a little bit, then go up and come down just a little bit. And we did that the whole way up to acclimate along the way. And it was so funny because we had a group of guys that were from Sweden, I think, that were in another group. And they looked like they were like all in crazy good shape and they were going to do awesome. And literally we were hiking up the last day, or hiking up to the summit. And some of the guys were walking back down crying. Others were throwing up on the side of the trail. Yeah. I mean, it was like, and these guys were all in crazy good shape. And here's chubby me just kind of going, "Hey guys, what's up?" And just going right up. It really doesn't. You don't know who's going to get hit by it and who isn't.
That's right. That's right. And before I get to the skid story, I want to answer Casey Nielsen's question. Casey, let's get some Tutti Frutti tonight. That is some frozen yogurt in our local area. My daughter has tuned in and is asking questions along with the rest of the listeners.
Oh, is that your daughter, Casey?
Casey, yeah.
What's up, Casey? Welcome to the show.
That is awesome. I never heard of that dessert. What is that?
It's a local store, frozen yogurt store, Tutti Frutti.
Oh, Froyo, man.
Froyo.
Yes. They closed all the Orange Leafs. That was the Froyo where I was living at. There's literally not a frozen yogurt restaurant in my city.
Really?
Wow.
That is depressing.
I know. Yeah. I guess I'm going to have to sell this house and move. That's the only answer, or start my own frozen yogurt.
So the skid story is it's a fun story. The year before we'd done the southern half of the JMT, and basically we kind of drop into the middle of the John Muir Trail and we headed south. So we started at Muir Trail Ranch basically and headed south. The next year we decided, okay, we're gonna finish off the John Muir Trail. We'll drop in at the midpoint again, Muir Trail Ranch, and we'll head north and we'll finish it in Yosemite. And we had so much fun with just myself, Chopper, and Buddy the previous year that we invited some other folks. My son, Jukebox, Chopper's son, Big E, and then we invited a mutual friend of ours by the name of Roger, who was a former professional baseball player. He is a big, strapping specimen, big guy, strong guy, very athletic, and he showed up for the trip. And I swear, his backpack must have weighed 60 pounds. And he brought everything. I mean, he was not going to skimp on any creature comfort. And we told him, "Hey, Raj, you don't need to bring all that. You're not going to need 2 or 3 different towels. You're not going to need a full size pillow that you got off of your bed. You're going to regret bringing that." And he's like, "Oh no, I got this. This is not a problem for me. No problem." And so he's about 6'5", and when he had his pack on and everything piled on top of his pack, it easily went 7 feet high. I mean, he had a lot on him. And so We that first day we took the ferry across Florence Lake. We hiked the 4 or 5 miles to get to the actual John Muir Trail, and we took a left turn this time instead of a right turn, and headed north. And there's a lot of climbing that first day or so. And on that first day, we're on the side of a mountain. We having picked up altitude all morning long, and Raj, he was slowing down. He was not feeling well. Has to go with the kind of ties in with the altitude sickness, right? We were pretty sure that he was suffering from some level of altitude sickness. And so we're on the side of this mountain. It's pretty exposed, not a lot of shade. In fact, we stop at the point in the trail where there's maybe one big pine tree that kind of gives a little bit of shade. Everything is wide open and exposed, and we're the only ones on the trail. And we rest for a while, and Raj, he's not doing too good. He wants to take a little extra time, so I volunteer to stay behind with him. And the rest of the crew, they continue their ascent up to the top of that particular climb to get to, I think, Sanger Creek. And we're waiting there for about 15, 20 minutes. And then I hear Raj say, "Oh no, oh no." I said, what's going on? What's happening? "Oh, I think I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick." I said, "Well, just, you can throw up over there." No, it's not throw up. It's not throw up. I'm like, "Oh no." Yeah. So, I mean, we're out there and there's literally nothing except for this tree that's about maybe 20 feet below the trail, this tall pine tree. I said, "Well, head down to behind that pine tree. That's the only place, it's available." So he heads off the trail. He disappears behind this pine tree, and literally he is there for maybe 10 seconds. And all of a sudden there's this woman and her 12-year-old son walking up the trail. I said, Raj, someone's coming. And he looks, and I hear him go, "Oh no." And he kind of pulls himself together, and he drags himself back up to the trail. And the woman and her son, they pass us, and they go about 30 feet past us, and they stop and they take a break. And Raj, who was in the middle of his business, is beside himself, just trying to hold it together while they're waiting there on the side of the trail. And we're waiting, they finally take off again, and he makes a beeline for behind that tree and finally gets it all out of him. But from that point on, he was known as Skids.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. That is one of the best stories. That's
a good poop story, man. That was really good. Sometimes you're just in spots where there's no privacy, dude.
Yeah, and I think maybe all of us have been in that situation where we think we go off the trail to a spot that is secluded, and we're in the middle of our business, and what we don't realize is the trail is taking a turn and kind of doubles back on itself or something, and there you are,
switchback
in position, and someone walks right up and like, "Hey, how you doing?" Yeah.
Get out those topo maps and make sure you know where you're at, man.
Doc, did I tell you about the poop rating system?
There's a rating system. I got to hear this.
Yeah, you don't know about the poop rating? I think
is it like type 1 fun, type 2 fun? Is it type 1 poop, type 2 poop?
No. It's like it's like 5-star rating. Like you do like a hotel or something. So I don't think there's an exact science to this, and there's no real set rule.
Oh, really? There's no exact science to it? I'm shocked by that. That blows my mind.
Well, I think it's kind of popularized in the through hiking community, just in a bubble. I think that maybe it was just a us thing, but I think that it's a thing. It's like, you get 1 star per event. So it's like, was there toilet paper? That gives you a star. Was there a view? That gives you a star. Did you see wildlife? That gives you a star. Was it on a actual toilet seat, or did you squat? And that's kind of subjective. Everybody's got their own thing. So you rate them however you want. But I will tell you, I had a 5-star in Colorado at the high elevation with the, out in front of you is a beautiful lake. You have snow caps on the giant mountains, views for days. You got the fish jumping out of the water, out in the lake, way out in front of you. That right there, that's a 5-star. It was no skids, but
You bet you're gonna have to answer to Leonidas. He's part of the Better Poopers Bureau.
Leonidas.
For those who are listening, literally Leonidas, one of our listeners, just put on here, I represent the Better Poopers Bureau, here to do a survey on poop quality. So Jeremiah, you're going to have to take that up with the BPB and make sure that that's all good.
I make a motion to instill some type of poop rating system that has official stars per each event.
Well, man, you need to go up to Pictured Rocks in Michigan. Like that's a fun place to poop. Let me tell you. Cause like every campsite has a toilet sitting in the middle of nowhere with no walls around it.
Yeah.
You just walk up a hill, you walk back a few hundred feet, and it's just there. And you sit down, you just look around and enjoy the view. It's beautiful outside. I mean, and because of that, the smell's not nearly as bad, because it's able to air itself out while it's sitting there. And, it's beautiful. I mean, you hear the birds singing, you can watch the sunrise. It's beautiful, man.
Man, there is nobody I feel worse for than the people that work these longer trails, and they have the different privies, and they had to stir the poop and put in the wood shavings or rot or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where I came across this, but my boss and I, we did the Trans-Catalina Trail on an island off the coast of California. But I came across this, and I was talking about it with him, that there is an actual responsibility out there, something called raking the cone. And that these backcountry rangers have to take a rake, and you can imagine under a toilet seat. I mean, it just mounds up, right? It cones up, and so if it gets too high, I mean that's counterproductive. So someone's got to get in there and rake the cone and kind of spread it evenly. And so whenever we're having a bad day at work, we say that we're raking the cone today. That's just the way it works.
I would sit and think to myself, at least I don't have to rake the cone. That's what I would be like. I'd be like, I think my job's bad. No, I don't have to rake the cone. I'm good. I'm great.
It's all perspective.
Did you see this from the Pizza Ninja?
We
need a Backpackers podcast card with the rating system that could easily be slipped into your friend's pack.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. What a perfect idea for merch, man.
Maybe that will be our first merchandise, the official Backpackers podcast card with the poop rating system on it.
Hey, I don't know who this Pizza Ninja is, but he's a savant.
He is a brilliant man.
Yes.
Or woman. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, it could be. That's right.
We don't know. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome, though.
Yeah, you're right.
So what is, can someone tell me what loperamide is? Pyramide?
I assume, looks like Kevin has rebranded his channel. What up?
Yes.
Kevin? So, I remember he had made a new intro. It says
I just saw that at a glance. I saw that comment at a glance, and I thought he was making a comment about Leonidas. So I misread that.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. And then Jeff Peters seems to know. He calls it a tactical Pepto.
Oh, maybe. Oh, Ken P says Imodium.
Oh, here we go. It's an anti-diarrheal. It's basically Imodium.
Yeah, Kevin would know. He's in the medical field.
Yeah. And the Pizza Ninja says that we inspire him. That's how he comes up with these amazing ideas. Well, you keep coming up with the ideas, and we'll continue to inspire you. How does that sound, man?
It's like a circle. A constant cycle. Yeah. Whenever I was on the long trail, there is like shelters that you stay at, and you have to pay. It's like pretty cheap, $5 or something. And there's somebody that's there the whole backpacking season, and they literally live there and like spend the night there every night and everything. And one of their duties was to take care of those privies. And I don't remember which one's which, but some of them you couldn't pee in and some you could, like it killed the bacteria or something in there. But every time I would see like that big pile of dirt over there next to the privy, I was like, man, somebody's going to be dumping this in here, cleaning this out. Thank God it's not me, but I guarantee you that's an underpaid position.
Can I just say, I think the toilet in the middle of the field is far more comfortable from a social aspect than the privies that are on some parts of the Appalachian Trail around the Grayson Highlands area, because it's you walk up into this like elevated area that's got a half wall, and you sit there and you can look at everybody, and everybody knows what you're doing up there. And there's people all around you. Like I would rather have the secluded toilet out wide open in the woods than to sit on those thrones of glory up in front of everybody on the AT. I mean, what is your thought on that, Jeremiah, Doc? I mean, which would you rather do?
I think that's a fair point. You know, you watch the military movies, and I remember, what was the one with Vietnam one? Full Metal Jacket. Jacket. So you see the bathrooms, they're in there cleaning the bathrooms, and people are sitting on the toilets right next to each other. I'm like, oh, that'd be a little uncomfortable. Yeah, I agree with you, John. I'd rather be out, out in the middle of nowhere with no walls whatsoever. But at least you're kind of a little bit removed. And I want to go back to what Jeremiah said. There are certain toilets where you can poop but not pee. I mean, that could be problematic, and you'd have to do your business in two different spots.
Yeah, you have to pee before you go in. You got to pee, and then I think the goal is to make sure that everybody doesn't pee in there. I don't know.
That's a cruel joke, man.
They're just trying to do what's best for the environment.
How? That doesn't make any sense.
No, because the bacteria breaks down the feces.
So what does that have to do with urination? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it has something to do with it. It's like a guideline. Help me out, people in the comments.
Pizza Ninja, weigh in on this.
I'm literally calling bullcrap on that one. I don't believe it.
It's on the doors before you go in. There's like a
what they do. There's a lot of things that people write that I don't believe either. So like, I don't believe them. I think they're lying to you. I think it was a backpacker that actually made the signs to be a joke on everybody that comes to those places. Just to torment people.
This may be controversial, but I think let me preface it. I think some, like my wife, like one of the boundaries to see, Leonidas knows the urine messes up the chemical compounds. That's what I was saying. My wife, she's not a huge fan of using the restroom outside of a physical restroom. Like here at my house, you can go in and there's a porcelain throne, right? That's not in the woods. So the closest thing to that is a privy. So for the ladies, it's more comfortable, I would assume. I don't know. I'm not a girl, but I would assume that a lot of them are more comfortable going in those, like, it's like a closet, the privy is, with a toilet in there, and then they pee in there. Whether they have to pee or poop, they, sometimes just pee in there, and they're trying to avoid that. So I'm not saying it's not a big deal for the guys to pee in there too. I'm just saying if every girl that comes along pees in there and it's messing up like the pH and all this different stuff. I'm not a scientist, as you can tell, but if it's messing up the chemical compounds.
Well, I trust Leonidas more than I trust you, so I'll be okay with it. I guess it's Leonidas is saying it.
Are people satisfied with their poop talk tonight?
We're getting a lot of it in. I mean, if people say we didn't talk about it tonight,
this escalated quickly.
Yeah. A toilet with bees under the seat.
Oh, that is a recipe for disaster there.
That would be uncomfortable. That would be definitely uncomfortable. So, okay, Doc, in all seriousness now, we are 55 minutes into this live stream, and I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to tell people about your podcast, which is 1,000 times better than this one and way more professional, so that people can get a hold of you and people can hear what you're doing. Tell them a little bit about how to find you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the kind words. This has been a fantastic experience. I don't know. I think you're hyping me up a little bit too much, but I'll take it. The John Freakin Muir Pod started out. It came to me as I was sitting in LA traffic. You guys have all heard about LA traffic. I was sitting in the middle of it in January 2020, and I thought, what am I doing in traffic? How can I get back to the outdoors somehow during the off season? And I came up with this idea of doing a podcast, and it just started out with some of my hiking buddies coming on and us talking about, major concepts and some of our trips. And it kind of evolved into more of an interview show. So the last couple of seasons, I have been interviewing triple crowners, long trailers, big wall climbers, authors, documentarians, podcast hosts like Jeremiah, and have really, I want to hear their stories. It's really almost like a human interest podcast, because there is a story behind everybody. And I tell you what, this last summer, when I was out on the John Muir Trail, I ran into a number of people that I have subsequently brought onto the podcast. Some great stories out there. The story of a 6-year-old girl by the trail name of Superhero that hiked the John Muir Trail and ended up on top of Mount Whitney. And that same morning, when she was on top of Mount Whitney, there was also another gentleman on the peak who goes by the Instagram handle Paralyzed to Peaks. He became a quadriplegic with a spinal injury in a jiu-jitsu practice, and he has battled back to the point where he was able to hike up to the top of Mount Whitney. So it's just stories like that are just incredible, and I find them so inspiring, and just love to talk to people and hear about them.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. What are some other places people can find you online?
So I've got a website, the John Freakin Muir Pod.wordpress.com. You can also find me on Instagram, John Freakin Muir. And if anybody has any comments or suggested topics for the show, you can email me at johnfreakinmuir@gmail.com.
That's awesome, man. Well, I don't know about Jeremiah, but I've really enjoyed having you on here. I apologize before we even started this thing, because I knew what the conversations were going to devolve to, and so I do appreciate you being on here and putting up with our nonsense, because we are definitely unlike other podcasts. So
it has been a lot of fun. I know we started with Outdoor Beards. I wonder if we could finish with Outdoor Beards. I had a question when you guys are talking about it, when Jeremiah was talking. I mean, you're talking about your favorite scent out there, or Bridget's favorite scent. I was wondering if they had a scent called Hiker Trash.
Hiker Trash.
You could have that. You could have that scent right up in your beard all day long. You know what people smell like out there after a week on the trail?
It smells like old ramen noodles and and rotten water. Like, yeah, that's good stuff. Maybe some Snickers or something in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, yeah. That's a great. That is a great, like, legitimate. I wouldn't want it to smell like Hiker Trash, but that is a great legitimate name for a scent, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they could call it? Poser.
Poser?
Just poser. You know, because it's like, it's for people that aren't really hiker trash, but they want to smell like it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
There it is right there. Poser. Yeah. The poser scent.
I talked to IB Tat, long trailer. He was wearing a hat. Said Hiker Trash on. I said, "Oh man, I want one of those hats. How do I get one of those hats?" He goes, "Well, not anybody can just have this hat. You have to be legitimate hiker trash." And I said, "Well, what is the qualification?" He goes, "Well, my definition of hiker trash is that you've had to have spent at least one night in a restroom on the trail, in an outhouse."
Wow. Well, I haven't done that yet.
I haven't done that. I've done other things, but I have not done that yet.
Now, I bet you're disqualified if you do it on purpose. You're like, I'm going to get my hiker trash badge today. It's go ahead. You know, it's going right on this vest. Yeah. I guess I'm not true hiker trash yet, according to IB Tat.
He's pretty hardcore though, man. Even if he's wrong about that, I wouldn't tell him that.
Nah. Yeah, I don't know if you tuned in his YouTube videos. He is pretty rough around the edges, but he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's hardcore, man. He's hardcore, but he's hiked some trails. He's hiked some trails. Apparently, Darwin has the same criteria for this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hey, I was going to ask you real quick. Now, I could be wrong, but I thought the dropping the G off of ing in words was more of a Southern thing. What inspired you to do that?
That is a good question. I don't know. It just kind of rolls off the tongue, John Freakin Muir. You know, it's just that hard G in there. It just kind of takes away a little bit. So I want to appeal to, I'm from Southern California, but I want to appeal to everybody. And we do have listeners in all 50 states and 60 countries across the globe.
That is awesome. Now, how long has your podcast been around?
I started at the end of January 2020. So we've got 3 seasons. We're in the middle of our 3rd season right now, about 120 episodes in.
There you go. And see Jeremiah, what it is he watched some of your videos and was inspired by your lingo, and that's why he went with freaking instead of freaking.
My accent's rubbing off on you.
That's what it is. That's what it was. I know everybody's inspired by Jeremiah. So,
yeah, you know, I'll tell you this. I know that we're wrapping up, but one of my students today, and I haven't mentioned my YouTube channel and all that. We focus on the education. Well, a number of them found it in one of my class periods, and they were super surprised, as you can imagine. And one of them's like, you really turn on your accent whenever you do your YouTube videos. You don't sound anything like that in math class. And I was like, what? So maybe I'm a little bit more city, and the 606 goes away whenever I head in and be a professional. I guess on here we really got the Southern twang going.
Or maybe you're a poser. And this whole time you've never had a Southern accent and you're just faking it to get clicks. That's what
Jeremiah's really he's calling from an apartment up in New Jersey right now.
Oh man.
Dude,
Jeremiah's not even from Kentucky. He's from Minnesota or something.
If I had a Jersey accent to finish out the rest of this podcast, that would be so perfect. This is the only one I got.
Hi there, my name is Jeremiah Stringer. I'm so happy to be here today. That's hilarious, dude. Now we know it's all come. I mean, we always find the truth, and we just found it. Jeremiah's not really from Kentucky.
The truth comes out.
Oh, it's scary. It's scary. Well, Doc, thank you for being on the show, man. Hey, would you be interested in doing this again at some point?
Absolutely, man. This is awesome.
That'd be great. We'd love to have you back. It's been a lot of fun, and everybody seems to have really been enjoying themselves. Look at this. Jeff Peters is calling you out, Jeremiah, faking it to be employed.
That's what you got to do, man. You got to pay the bills.
Yep. Well, Doc, thank you so much, man. Jeremiah, got any questions before we start to sign things off for the night?
Well, if you'll hang out in the green room for just a minute, I do want to mention what we got coming up next week, and then I'd love to talk to you real quick before we hop off here.
Absolutely. And I just want to throw a shout out there to Crawling Blind, who has subscribed to the Muir Podcast. Thank you very much.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, hopefully you see a lot more of those. So we'll see you in just a minute, man.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Once again, Jeremiah, fantastic guest. Fantastic guest. I feel sorry for him, though, that he put up with us. Like, he's used to normal podcasts where people are, like, good at what they do.
He knows how to have a good time, man. That was awesome. I do want to mention, and I said this last week, John wasn't supposed to be here today and got some plans shifted around and was able to make it. But next week, I think that you're going to be away. So I have an alternate co-host. You could see, John says it's no mystery. It's easy to figure out. Backpacking with Dad. If you could see John's shirt right now.
That's Mr. Backpacking with Jason Sir, who loves Zaleski State Park more than the Red River Gorge.
John does this fake news on this ticker for the people that watch on YouTube. You don't see it if you just listen on whatever podcast platform. But anyway, he had one about backpacking with Jason tonight. But he's going to be my co-host next week. And we're having on Nikki Relin. I hope I'm saying her last name right. And I'm so excited. She's an author, first of all, which is super cool. But she also is a champion professional kickboxer / boxer, and also a professionally trained chef and an EMT. And she was in a rappelling / climbing accident and lost one of her legs. And a year later, hiked the entire AT.
So she's inspirational, big time. Big time inspirational.
She's up there. We had on Randy Pierce, who is completely blind in both eyes and lost his vision. Wasn't born blind either. Not that you have advantage or disadvantage, I guess, but lost his sight and he's done so much, but he bagged all those peaks in the wintertime, all the 46ers, right?
Yeah.
And I would put her right up there with him. So I am so excited to talk to her next week. And we're going to be here Monday night.
Absolutely inspirational story.
Yeah.
Absolutely inspirational. I hate that I'm not going to be here, man.
Well, hopefully she loves it. And it's awesome. And it was as much fun as Doc because he's willing to come back. Hopefully she's willing to come back too. And you get a chance to talk to her.
Yeah, it was definitely great to have Doc on here tonight. We always have good guests. I love the guests we have on this thing, and we are looking forward to next week and the weeks to come. We got some great guests still coming throughout the rest of 2020, and we're starting to book some people into 2021 for these live streams, and we're just gonna have some fun, man.
Wait, 2021? It is 2021.
You're right. See, here's the problem with COVID.
You lose a year.
We lost a year, man. Like, I don't even remember 2020 anymore. So yeah, for the end of 2021, going into 2022, we got some great guests coming.
That's right, man.
Of course, if you're listening to this online, you may not realize this is a new podcast. You may think this is from last year. So I maybe shouldn't have said anything.
That's okay. I love our listeners.
There we go. All right, man. Well, if you're good, I'm good. I think it's time to go ahead and sign on out of here. And thank you for spending your Monday night with us and not watching Monday Night Football. We appreciate you giving us your time, and we will catch you on the next go round.
Adios, folks.